Ah, my swimming people, my sweeple. Great to see you again after the conclusion of the 2023 World Championships in Fukuoka, Japan. We had seen 10 world records fall over the course of the 8-day swim meet. Now looking at that in a vacuum, 10 world records, that seems like a really high number. We were curious how it stacked up against other world championships throughout history. Honestly, I was pretty sure that that number was going to be high up on the list. Obviously not number one, because that one had to go to the 2009 World Championships, where everyone was wearing full bodysuits that made you float on top of the water, and world records were dropping essentially every heat. As it turns out, this wasn't really an historic high. Not even close. According to the world record database maintained by SwimSwam statistician Daniel Takata, there have been 25 other major international meets that have ranked above these 2023 World Championships in terms of world records broken. So let's dive into some of those numbers. If we take a look at the top of this list, we can see that the World Championships in Rome, circa 2009, topped the list by far with a whopping 43 world records set in Italy. Coming in at second and third, we have the 1976 and 1972 Olympic Games with 29 and 28 world records each. Giving some context to those Olympic Games, at the 76 and 72 Olympics on the men's side, the US were completely dominant. This is highlighted in the 76 Games specifically, where the US men won all but one gold medal in swimming. And a world record was set in every single men's event except for one. On the women's side, at the 72 Games, the US and Australian women asserted their dominance. All but 3 events on the women's side at the 72 Games were won in world record times. This was the same for the men's side at the 72 Olympics. All but 3 events were won with world records. At the 76 Olympic Games on the women's side, it was the same pattern. All but 3 events were won in world record times. However, what was not the same was that the East German women won all but 2 gold medals. At the 72 Games, it was suspected that the East German women were doping, and by the 76 Olympics, it was all but confirmed, with the US women being very dominant leading up to the Games, but at the Games themselves, they won all silver except for the final relay, which they won. The documentary, The Last Gold, is about that very victory. Going back to our list, number 4 is the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing. This was the first major international meet where the super suits were worn, and we hence saw 25 world records broken. And then it drops down to the teens, where we see a variety of US championships, Olympic Games, World Championships, even a few Pan-Pacific Championships in there. And all the way down for a 5-way tie at 26th, we can see the 2023 World Championships slotting in there with 10 world records. I'll be candid with you, I'm 31 years old, and as a 31-year-old, I have very little knowledge and experience in swimming beyond the 2000s. So I wanted to see what this list might look like with just the modern day meets from about the last 25 years or so, because that's when my swimming brain really started to formulate. Looking at this list, we can see that obviously the world champs are number 1, those 2008 Beijing Olympics are number 2, but then it drops to 15 world records and a tie for 3rd, which is right in the ballpark for what we've seen lately. At recent world championships, such as 2017, 2015, and 2019, we've seen right around the same number of world records. There was 11 in 17, 11 in 15, 10 in 19, and 10 again this year in 2023. I went one step further and looked at some of the other world championships that have happened in the last 25 years and how they stacked up on the list. Months after the 2009 World Championships, we saw those super suits banned. So at the 2011 World Championships, there were actually just 2 world records that went down, which isn't a big surprise, considering we had seen 43 world records with the super suits just 2 years prior. At 2013, people started to normalize to not wearing the super suits, and we saw 6 world records go down. Again, in 15, 17, and 19, we saw 11 or 10 world records, so the line kind of went up and then maintained at what I think is a pretty healthy growth rate for our sport. I also looked at the 2022 World Championships just last year, which was a pretty weird one because of the global pandemic. That World Championships was actually supposed to happen in 2021, but since the Olympic Games had to get pushed back a year from 2020 to 2021, the World Championships did as well. So they went from 2021 to 2022. So in a year where there was a European Championships, a Commonwealth Games, and a World Championships, that doesn't usually happen all in one year, we saw 3 world records at those World Championships, but we also saw a world record at the European Championships and a world record at the Commonwealth Games. I think that Com Games one specifically is significant because a large contingent of Australians didn't even go to the World Championship, foregoing it for those Commonwealth Games. Conversely, David Popovich did go to the World Championships and swim quite well, and then go to the European Championships where he did happen to swim better than at the Worlds and break a world record. However, the European Champs wasn't his sole focus meet, so I'm not going to count that one. But I will count the Commonwealth Games world record, so let's say 4 world records. Again, it was a weird year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, it seems we've gotten back on track in Fukuoka, once again hitting that double-digit standard of world records. In conclusion, world records do typically get broken at World Championships. Who knew? More specifically, 10 world records got broken at these World Championships, which is a pretty healthy number. It wasn't a crazy big amount, but it wasn't a crazy small amount either. It was pretty much right in the middle, which gives me the indication that our sport is in a good place. We as a global sport are continuing to grow and set new marks at a pretty reasonable pace. So let's look into our crystal balls. How many world records do you think will get broken next year at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a like. That really helps us out. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you don't want to miss out on every time we put out a swimming video. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time.